Let's talk about Star Wars because Entertainment Weekly cover story, bunch of stuff in there, lots of new details.
Yep.
New characters that we found out about. The Luggabeasts.
Yes.
Well, you know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of, there was that thing in, I think it was in New Hope. I don't know if he was a trash compactor character or he was in, maybe he was in the, he was in the Jawa's vehicle and he looked like a walking dumpster.
Right.
You know, and it kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Well,
Another
it's like
practical effect.
Organic matter, it looks like, an actual beast with this like box, like metal box on its face. So who knows what that thing does?
Yeah.
I mean, we know that Rey is a scavenger.
Yeah.
And so you see this beast, and then there's also a different like sort of life form.
Maybe that's like her sidekick, kind of like her R2. Or...
Could be. There's a different life form riding the Luggabeasts too. So I think they're really gonna like build up that world. You
Don't you already? We were talking beforehand, like I already want to buy that toy.
I do too. It's like this.
We're grown ass men and we want to buy that.
It feels like this movie's dewback, you know,
Right.
like where you like remember the dewback where you used to like stick the stormtrooper through its back. It was kind of gross, and had those like rubber flaps, and you would stick your action figures.
And it was and the dewback. I mean, how much screen time did he get? Like 10 seconds?
Like no, it was like seriously 2 seconds. It was like,
and everyone's like, that is awesome.
Because it was
giant
awesome.
Iguana,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it had. And it kind of is the Boba Fett effect, actually, where you see something for just a second and you fill in the whole world around it, and it's like
that thing.
If that was if George Lucas had access to CG effects, I feel like the dewback would have been running around like a crazy circus clown.
Didn't they CGI it for the special edition re-releases?
Yeah, and it didn't look bad. It didn't look bad, but when you get just that glimpse, and I'm really, really hoping that J.J. Abrams gets this, when you get that throwaway glimpse at something that you can just fill in the rest of the details about, it's special, and you need that. There's like a mystery there, and it also indicates that the universe is bigger than what you're seeing on the screen.
Mos Eisley, the Cantina sequence is a perfect example of that. You know, you see Snaggletooth and Hammerhead, and the fact that we know their names because of toys for things that were just seriously a reaction shot in that.
I have a theory about this. I think this is why they threw away the extended universe. I think they do not want a world in which, every last Ugnaught has his own novel, And so, I think they really want to focus on...
That's a horrible world, then, if you can't have every last Ugnaught with a complex backstory.
But, I really do think the fandom for Star Wars has gotten to the point where you have people who are hyper-obsessed on the details and then want to know so much and want to build out so much around that character, or there are creators who want to stake their claim to that particular character and their origin and stuff like that. I think Disney's right in playing it close to their vest because it'll preserve some of that wonder.
Yeah, and it also opens up avenues for them to then do official spin-offs of things, whether it's in comic book form or whatever. Captain Phasma, you might like this. J.J. Abrams told EW that the name was inspired by the movie Phantasm.
Nice, that's awesome.
What was that? The thin old man, Angus Scriggs or something was his name? Yeah,
Angus Scriggs. So that's awesome.
He was on, was it on Fringe or Lost or something? Popped up on one of his shows, and
we always, we were kind of always thinking that name, especially like really harkens back to serials. It's that kind of crazy.
Buck Rogers shirt.
Buck Rogers. For those listening at home,
I'm
Jim's
wearing a Buck
Rogers
shirt.
Old
school comic book Buck Rogers, like 1930s.
Nice. So I think a lot of what JJ is trying to do is bring it back to its roots, and they've said that over and over and over again. And I think some of these crazy names are part of that. It's not like Star Wars ever lost the crazy names, but it feels these names are starting to sink in now. Yeah. And it's starting to feel like Kylo Ren is just like, oh, this is Kylo Ren.
Yeah, and BB-8 is obviously, like, he said that that's the one name that didn't change at any point was BB-8. Like, it just stuck. People like, yeah, nice. Like that. Like other people, they had, different kind of variations on the names and stuff like that. Now, Kylo Ren, we did a whole conversation about Kylo Ren earlier this week, so we won't rehash sort of, you know, his is he actually like a child of one of the Skywalkers or Han Solo or whatever?
No.
But let's talk in general about the fact that they are fleshing out a villain like right from the get-go, which I think is great, because if you look back at the first Star Wars, they're just bad guys. They're just there to be bad. And Darth Vader, there was a sense of mystery about him, that he was this old, kind of like just almost like sorceress kind of henchman.
Yeah.
You know, but from this one, they're like right from the get-go, we want you to understand what's motivating this guy.
Yeah.
And what he's really after.
I really love the fact that he is into the old, you know, Sith, and that is what is driving him.
Yeah.
I think that's a really smart idea. From the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, I like that they're going that way, because it could have just been like, the Force Awakens in my body, and now I'm evil. You know, like it could have been something like that, but I don't think it is.
Well, I love that it's also, it is a twisted sort of commentary on fandom too.
Yeah.
Like the intensity of fandom. Like he's, and we've done a conversation in the past about like Kylo Ren basically being a Darth Vader fanboy, but it's true. It's an interesting sort of play on a lot of these things. Now, what do you think?
I have one comment before I lose it. I was brushing my teeth the other day, and I was thinking about. This is what I do when I brush my teeth, by the way. I was thinking about Darth Maul, and I was thinking about that final encounter between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn, and how the music was playing.
Were you doing that with your brush? Were you like using it like a lightsaber?
I was spinning it around, and then another brush came out the other end, and I was doing it on both sides. Anyway, so and I thought of the name Duel of the Fates. Right? I thought that's what that thing was called. And I remember being spoiled by that soundtrack, because it was like,
oh my God, yeah.
It was basically like,
didn't they say Qui-Gon's death?
Yeah, it was
or
like, it was basically the name of the song is like, Qui-Gon dead.
Yeah.
But so Duel of the Fates actually is a way more subtle way to say that, right? Like,
yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, they straight up spoiled it with the song that came after.
Yeah.
But before, they were talking about duel of these two fated characters who were not going to make it out of there. I mean, Darth Maul kind of did, Retro, you know, whatever. But those guys like bit the big one in that scene, and Duel of the Fates tipped you off.
Yeah. I mean, I just got to say, I didn't realize you still thought about Phantom Menace as passionately as you did in 1999.
I don't know. I have no defense.
It's an amazing look, man.
I have no defense. No defense.
Some other Star Wars stuff that came out of that EW article. J.J. Abrams says he is, despite some recent rumors, he is not directing Episode 9. Rian Johnson, of course, is directing Episode 8. So I'm just curious, who would you like to see direct Episode 9? My vote is for Brad Bird, because he's coming off of Tomorrowland, and frankly, he could kind of use something.
Yeah,
like
that would be good. I hadn't really thought of it. I think, you know, it's one of those things where like I almost don't feel like I need to give that any thought, because I think they're going to do it right. You know, like not like my thinking about it is going to make anything come true. But you know, sometimes you think, man, it's got to be this guy. It's got to be this, you know, this person, whatever. But yeah, in this particular case, like, I don't know. I think they've been doing a pretty good job picking directors. And even, I will say, even Josh Trank, based on Chronicle, I thought was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the Fantastic Four stuff was weird, but and they probably did the right thing.
Now we have Lord Miller coming in with the Han Solo.
They're taking the right
prequel.
people, right?
Like, I mean, my God, they're poaching some good talent. So I don't think somebody like a Brad Bird is out of the realm of possibility. It is several years off. You could probably squeeze in one more movie in between then.
Yeah, and I think he's probably the person. You know, like I'm sure they're looking at him because he's a very competent director.
He's part of the Disney family.
Part of that group, you know?
Yeah, they all know him. One other thing I want to talk about, kind of Kylo Ren related, is let's talk about the Knights of Ren more. We mentioned them a little bit in our previous conversation, but how big of a role do you think the Knights of Ren are going to be? Are they just going to be like mentioned in passing, like the way in New Hope they're like, you know, the old Republic, you know, Jedi Knights, well, it's, you know.
I think they might be saving more of them for future movies. So I don't even know that we'll see that many, or if we do, we'll see them.
Do you think he killed all of them?
Oh, that could be awesome.
He wanted to be the only Knight of the Ren?
Knight of the Ren table. I don't know. I mean, I like that they're calling themselves Knights.
Yeah.
For one thing, you know.
Well, they're embracing sort of, and that kind of ties in with the idea of like they see themselves as the heroes of their own story, not the villain. And so knights are, you know, obviously you're thought to be noble and heroic and all that.
You don't have Sith Knights, you know. You have Sith and you have Jedi Knights. So if you're calling yourself a knight, you know, maybe if he has this real bond to Darth Vader, he knows Darth Vader's entire arc, right? He's probably going to see him as a tragic figure.
Yeah.
He's not going to see him as an evil person. He's going to be like, oh, tragic figure, this guy.
What if they are all like just fallen Jedi Knights of what was left of them, I suppose, you know?
I mean, I love that idea too.
Although,
that'd be very cool.
Now I'm going to get taken to nerd school. How many, I mean, I know Order 66.
Maybe not by me, I don't know.
Order 66 was supposed to kill off all the Jedi, but yet, you know,
well,
Ben made it
Obi-Wan
out,
survived.
And then Luke and Yoda.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not to say. I mean, this movie is called Force Awakens, and it's, you know, it could be like a rekindling of the old fires, but without midichlorians because they've said that's
They
not
have said
happening.
no midichlorians.
Thank
so,
God.
Any other final thoughts on Star Wars before we wrap up on this?
I just, you know, it hasn't taken a wrong step yet, which is like scary this deep. I mean, it's not scary, it's great this deep in the process, but you're like, when is the other shoe gonna drop?
I was kind of thinking about that. They're wonderful. The marketing has been wonderful. The trailers are awesome, but we have not heard, outside of Andy Serkis, we have not heard any of the new characters speak. We have not heard any of their dialogue. It has been basically kind of couched in nostalgia. They got a lot of points off the Chewie we're home bit and just the overall look and feel of the action. But we haven't seen, we have no indication of the chemistry between any of these actors, the effectiveness of their performances, if any of that actually works. My fear is that this movie has nowhere to go but down now.
We're in August, and they don't have to play a single line of dialogue, and the same amount of people will go see it.
Yep.
So I feel like, you know, we always talk about the JJ mystery box, and we haven't talked about it much for Star Wars because they've been kind of like meeting out these little bits of information this whole time. But when you stop and you look at what they've actually told people, it really isn't that much. It's like, oh, there's this evil guy, and
we know that
this villain.
Anakin's lightsaber that was, you know, passed on to Luke, and then he lost it in Bespin. That's going to be the lightsaber. That's the lightsaber we see in the movie being handed to Leia. So, I mean,
there's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of leaked stuff that's supposedly out there. I've heard really conflicting things from all those reports.
Yeah.
I'm almost inclined to believe that some stuff was leaked and some stuff was leaked and some stuff was like then leaked subsequently to create confusion about what's actually happening. But I think ultimately they don't have to mutter a word, and I think the next trailer we'll see a little bit more. But I don't think they're going to do. I don't think they're going to do this is the whole story, because I think JJ wants to keep things mysterious. And if you have any movie that can keep things this mysterious, it's Star Wars, because you don't have to market this movie much.
Yeah.